All right, guys, as we keep things rolling, we're now at verse 11, but starting at verse 10. But these men blaspheme the things which they do not understand, and the things which they know by instinct, like unreasoning animals. By these things they are destroyed. Woe to them, Jude says, for they have gone the way of Cain, and for pay they have poured themselves into the error of Balaam, and perished in the rebellion of Korah. Now, real talk, verses like this, if you're reading them by yourself, this gives you the opportunity to do real Bible study. All you got to do, and it's so easy to do if you're using a Bible app, such as Blue Letter Bible, such as the YouVersion Bible, any kind of Bible app or Bible software. All you got to do is type in these names. Genesis chapter 4 gives us the story of Cain. So the time came for both boys to give an offering to the Lord. The Lord had regard for Abel's offering and not for Cain's offering. Why is that? Well, because Abel did what was expected of him to do, or expected of both of them to do, whereas Cain did not. Cain wanted to give an offering by his own means, the way he wanted to, instead of the way that was laid out for them, initially by Yahweh, probably through their parents or whatnot. And so Cain murdered his brother in jealousy and envy. Cain was incredibly selfish. And even though Yahweh had told him what he needs to do, or made it plain to him, hey, look, if you do right, won't you be accepted? Cain wasn't trying to hear all that. He wanted to have things his way. And when he called his brother out there to the field, we don't know what he said to him. We don't know what the conversation was, but it got so escalated that he murdered his brother. So Jude says that these false teachers, these people that crept in unnoticed, they have gone the way of Cain. They've gone the way of jealousy, gone the way of hatred, gone the way of bitterness even. And for pay, they have poured themselves into the error of Balaam. Now, Balaam was a prophet in the Old Testament. We read about him in the book of Numbers. And he was a dirtbag. He was a straight dirtbag. You feel me? He was an evil, wicked prophet, but he was still an actual prophet. So we are introduced to Balaam and the book of Numbers, that is after Exodus, chapters 22 to 24. People of Israel, they're moving through Moab to get to Canaan. After they come out of captivity, right? I mean, it's right after Exodus. The Moabite king at the time was a man named Balak, and he knew all about Yahweh. He done heard what Yahweh had done to the people around him. You feel me? And so he wanted a way to destroy the people of Israel. So he was trying to entice Balaam with a bag, you feel me, to get him to curse the people of Israel, trying to get Yahweh to curse them, right? Or to speak a cursing upon them. But of course, Yahweh would not allow him to do such a thing. I want to tell you more, but I want you guys to read it for yourselves. I already gave you the chapters to read. Now it's on you to go ahead and get it done. But ultimately, long story short, Balak realizes, or Balaam realizes, since he can't actually curse his own people, instead, he can get them. He teaches Balak how to get the people to get God to curse them themselves. And he does that through, their folly, idolatry, and 304s. In fact, Jesus tells us exactly he reminds those seven churches exactly what Balaam did, what he taught the king to do. You know what I'm saying? To get them to eat food sacrificed to idols, and to, fall into idolatry, and also commit sexually grievous acts. You read about that in Numbers 31. I want to say, I think it's in 31. Now, the crazy thing is, the disgusting thing really is, Balaam was such a dirtbag, such a scumbag. He really did it for the bag, which is why Jude says, for pay, they have poured themselves into the error of Balaam. So we have envious, jealous, hateful guys, hateful people, secretly hateful. You know what I'm saying? Like Cain was. And then they're out for the money. These people that will teach the people to stumble, or lead the people into stumbling. false teachers. This is their character. This is how they are characterized even today. He says they perished in the rebellion of Korah. Now, this is found in Numbers 16. Again, not going into crazy detail because y'all need to do it yourselves. Korah, this man named Korah, led a rebellion against Moses. And it's crazy because he was from the same tribe as Moses. You know what I'm saying? But it seemed like Korah was mad and bitter that God didn't choose him as a leader. You know what I'm saying? He chose Moses. And so he tried to backdoor Moses and get 250 other chiefs of the people, like the strong men, I guess, leading men that show great leadership or whatever amongst their class or whatever. But anyways, he was mad at Moses and he was jealous of Moses and wanted to usurp Moses. But Moses was chosen by God. Moses was brought up by God. He was put in position by God to do God's will. And so initially he's mad at Moses, but really he's mad at God. See how that works? So Jude uses these three people from history, from scripture, to characterize the type of people whom he's talking about came up from among them. You feel me? And now are showing their true colors. You know what I'm saying? They have crept in unnoticed, and they have turned the grace of our God into sensuality. Some translations say lasciviousness. Basically, you feel me? Just being led by their sinful nature, I guess you can say. So as I've said in the previous video, what we're reading here is an ancient homily. This is homiletics. Jude is preaching a message right here. He is dead set on illustrating, using these things to illustrate the necessity of the necessity that they have to be willing to defend their faith, to fight for their faith, to strive for their faith. You did. You know, we really live in pampered times. We live in really good times. I know we all got a lot to complain about, but when it comes to our faith, we pretty pampered, y'all. These first century Christians, they didn't have it so easy. They weren't just trying to invite any and everybody to church. They didn't even go to a building for church. They met and they gathered in people's homes. Why? Because they weren't allowed to go to the synagogues anymore. We take that for granted. So, I mean, I'm sorry for those of y'all who don't want to go to church and can't even be bothered to find one to go to, find one to belong to. I don't respect that. And neither with the first century churches, the first century Christians. You think they will respect you not wanting to gather together with other believers and be taught and be under the leadership and the discipleship of, like, you feel me, elders, overseers, and deacons? Like, that's crazy. Anyways, catch y'all on the next one. Deuces.